It's time. It's that time again. Thank you to everyone who's going to be joining us on this special Facebook Live side by side. It's me, Hadi Nakri, as part of the Mortgage Advisor Group, and today I'm going to have a very special guest. His name is Alex Gilbert, and Alex is going to be joining me. He's a recruitment expert. So we know that some of these times at this moment are going to be extremely trying and very difficult. Now, Alex is here. Gino, thank you for joining in. I know that we've got quite a few guys who are joining in straight away. Thank you. If you want to send in a hit, a like, a question, do it. This is your hour. This is your time. And because we know how really crazy these times are, let's see how we can help address it. Now, Alex is actually joined in, but unfortunately, Alex, your camera is not visible. So if you can help me, Alex. Hello, everyone. Hello. Alex, if you can help me out by getting your camera on or using your mobile phone, and then what I'll do, I'll bring you into the conversation. I want to find out, and while Alex is doing this, I want to find out how you guys are doing today. Do you have any special questions for Alex? We know right now that it's crazy times at the moment. A lot of people are furloughed. They're wondering what's going to be happening with their income. And not just that, what's going to happen with the future? You know, and Alex has got the expertise to be able to help with this. And as always, we all know, if you've been tuning into the show or watched it on the replay within this mortgage group, you know about technical issues. Technical issues always happen on here. So Alex is on here. In the meantime, guys, if as you're all taking part, watching, I hope that this is going to go okay. So Alex, if you use your mobile phone, there we go. Now it's time to add Alex into this. It's weird because it had the phone on and then it came off, the camera element. Let's try that again. All right. Let's do that again. Add. Alex! Hey, we got you here. And for that, let's do this. Just set the mood. Now, Alex and me, we've known each other for over 5 years now, and Alex has gone from industry to industry, and quite a wealth of experience along the way. Those belts in the background do show that he knows what he's talking about. So Alex, I hope that you're okay. If you can say something, say hello.
I can hear you loud and clear.
And so can the rest of us now. So that's brilliant. Yes. So what I'm going to do now is let's talking about me. Alex, if you'd like to introduce yourself, where you're from, what's your job role, and what do you actually do?
Cool. Hi, everyone. So my name is Hadi politely put. I am Alex Gilbert. I am the head of people at a recruitment company called Optimus Search. Optimus Search are a specialist recruitment agency that specialise in IT recruitment, specifically in Germany. However, a part of my role is to make sure that I network with lots of other different recruitment agencies, see what's going on. So my job is like a pseudo HR role, training role, and to sound a bit posh, can sometimes be a little bit of a business advisory kind of thing.
Okay, that's really, really good to know. So tell us about what made you go into the recruitment industry itself.
Now, there's a slightly embarrassing answer to that one, because I used to work in card industry. I used to work with banking, and thoroughly enjoyed that time. And it was getting to a point in my career where essentially all the people that were above me, they were very good in their roles. They knew what they were doing. They weren't going anywhere. So for me to move on, I needed to do something different. And I saw this job advert that was very well written. It sounded exactly like what I wanted to do. So it was to involve with training. I thought it was a sales training role. And I live in a little town called Raynham in Kent. And as time went on, I realized maybe I need to start commuting into London to get the bigger roles. So I saw this job. It looked amazing, almost too good to be true. Well, to fast forward the story, I thought it was a job for a sales trainer. It was actually a job for the recruitment agency. So I thought it was a recruitment agent recruiting for another job. But actually turned out it was for Optima Search. And again, very long story short, I had a good interview, and then I've been there for just over 2 years now, and it's been a fantastic experience. So my honest answer is I originally didn't plan to. I just sort of fell into it, and I'll be honest, I've fallen in love with the industry. It's a fascinating topic.
Yeah, I remember with one of the interviews that you've done in the past, it was about in terms of going where the income is, and the income clearly at that point is in recruitment. It used to be in finance. It goes around in circles in that sort of way. So one point is IT, it's in finance, and it goes into recruitment. So it goes in waves and peaks and troughs. So can you explain very quickly what a recruitment agent actually does, or a recruitment consultant?
Great question, Hattie. Great question. Because I didn't, again, being honest, I didn't really understand. So I'd come across recruiters before I joined recruitment, and probably like a lot of people, your understanding of recruiters a little bit skewed. So it's just natural human nature, where you have a seller and you have a buyer, and a recruiter is a middleman. And naturally, people don't like the middleman. They're like, you're taking my money. So it's a big misconception. That's not strictly true. So the way it works, the way recruitment in general works, there's lots of little loopholes, there's lots of little exceptions. But generally speaking, if you're a client or a company, in this case, you might be looking for a talented developer, trainer, you name whatever job title you want. They're looking for someone really good. Now, to find those people, it takes time, takes effort, takes money. Now, the thing is if you're a small business, you haven't really got a lot of time, nor have you got a lot of money. So the idea of recruitment, so you have this little recruitment agent in the middle, what this person does is goes off into the big wide world and finds you that person. They find, and then they almost, a bit like a dating agency. I'm looking for this, look what I found, let's get together. That's kind of the short version of what a recruiter does. Lots of little nuances with it, but essentially, if you're looking for a job, genuinely a recruiter can be the quickest and easiest way to find that job.
Well, that's really fascinating as well, because again, in the past I've done recruitment consultancy too. So if anyone's watching this, please feel free to drop in any kind of questions at any point. You got him here to give all the answers that you need. Now, the current climate, we already know what it's doing at the moment. This moment in time is making a lot of people nervous with things like furlough, threats of redundancy. What advice do you give to people in this kind of position?
Firstly, furlough is not failure. And I'll say that again. Furlough is not failure.
Yeah.
People think if they're put on furlough, they've failed or something's gone wrong. That's not true. And we'll try not to get political on this, as that can always go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But furlough has saved millions of people's jobs. Millions. Regardless of what someone's opinion on it is, that is a fact. Now, you can't help everyone. You can't help everyone. But it definitely helps a lot of people. And furlough gets a little bit complicated. Something that I've had to deal with in my industry. Because if we take a big picture look at this very quickly. So the concept of furlough is to stop redundancy. So if you think of the market, it's ticking along. Now, the horrible events have happened, so it dips down. Now, the economy dips down as well. And of course, if this goes down, the need for your job also goes down. Now, historically, that means we have to make people redundant. If you're only going to sell one car in a week, where you're used to selling 5 cars, well, that's 5 less stuff. So the idea of furlough, and this is why I think it's a genius idea, is that we know we're going to take a dip, but we also know there will be an up. We know that. That's a fact. So the idea of the furlough is that I use the phrase substitution. Your job isn't required now, so you're going to be subbed. You're not going to be on the main line. The government are going to pay for you. You're technically still employed. And if you want to put a nice spin on it, you're kind of getting a paid holiday from the government.
Yeah.
You know, your employer doesn't pay anything, hypothetically. They don't pay anything at the moment. So they can keep you on their books. Now, imagine tomorrow, hypothetically, everyone, that they find a vaccine. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's still going to take months for that vaccine to hit everyone.
Yeah.
So, of course, the economy, in theory, should come back up again, which then means that you'll be able to be brought back off the sub bench and you're back to normal again. That's the hypothesis of furlough, and I love it. And if anyone's watching this now going, I'm on furlough, think of it as that's a brilliant safety net, and it's a brilliant time to capitalize on your time and your resources. So furlough, thumbs up from me.
Guys, do remember you can ask any questions at any time, and if you are watching this on the replay, because this will be in the group, feel free to drop a message in it, or I'll get Alex to answer any of these questions on your behalf. This is here for you guys as part of an extra special value within this group. So we want you to take full advantage of this. And I know for a lot of my clients, these are kinds of questions that many people are asking. A lot of them don't have the concept of furlough down because there's been a lot of mixed messages. Currently, it's at 80% of a person's salary. And I believe that in August, it is going to drop down to 60%. Is that correct?
I believe I saw a 70, then a 60, but slightly mixed messages, because what's meant to happen is that your employer is meant to make up the difference.
Yeah.
Now they're not forcing them to do it, but that's what's meant to happen. So your furlough money comes down, your employment comes up. And if I'm allowed a prediction, eventually that will happen where the employer will pay more, the government pays less and less and less, and then eventually all the employer.
And that's the days that we're hoping for. And like what we've seen yesterday with the steroid cream element behind it to help treat people who are suffering from breathing difficulties with the coronavirus, there's more confidence, which is going to be happening in the market. So obviously there's going to be good times for getting jobs taking place, which means one big thing, CVs. So I've had quite a few different questions from many people when I put this out there. Either private messaging me, private video calls, just asking about CVs. One of the biggest things about CVs has come out with people from my background, people from the BAME community, which has been, well, if I put in an African sounding name on here or an Asian sounding name, I may not get the same thing as someone who's got a European English sounding name or American sounding name. I don't know. What would you recommend to people who are deciding, at this point in time, I'm going to put my CV out. Should I put a photograph on there just to show that, look, this is what you're going to be getting, so you're not going to be disappointed. There's, all the potential objections I can overcome. Should I even put everything down that I've done on my CV over a 15-year period? Or should I just condense it to like just one page and put in the most recent thing that I've done? There's so many different issues that are surrounding CVs at the moment. So if you can help to clear up from a recruitment element, what does a recruitment consultant like to see in a CV?
What a great question. So whoever asked that question, well done. That's a brilliant question. There's just so many facets here, so I'll do my best to make it as concise as possible. So the first thing we need to be clear on is actually the industry that you're trying to get into is very essential to the answer to this question. Because let's be honest, if you're going to apply for, say, a supermarket, let's be honest, the specifics in the CV isn't necessarily as important as, say, a Java developer, where it's all about the products and all the kind of things you've been working on. But of course, every industry is different. That's not to say that retail wouldn't look at the ins and outs. Of course they do. But the more senior the role, the more detailed you would want that CV to be. I think I can generally get away with saying that. There might be the odd exception. But if we stick to recruiters for a second, if you think of it from a recruiter's point of view, if I'm trying to find you, I need to use words to find you. So for instance, let's use you, Hadi, as an example, mortgage advisor. So if I'm going to headhunt you, which for the record, every good recruiter will know how to do it, but it does take two to tango. So if you've got a CV with no keywords in it, just imagine your CV is on Reed, it's on Monster, whatever website it is, and your CV doesn't say the word mortgage or advisor. If I search mortgage advisor, you're not going to come up in my search.
Right.
End of discussion. So you've got to focus on the keywords. So if you're a specialist mortgage advisor, you would write on your CV, specialist mortgage advisor, you put your location in there, and then underneath, you want to almost put the projects or sort of tasks that you've done. If you've used the software, name it. If you've saved a company money, mention it. Any of those things needs to be in there, because the really good recruiters, they do what's called a Boolean search. Now, there isn't enough time to go into details what that is, but essentially it's a very clever search function where it will look for exact phrases. So it will look for specialist mortgage advisor, London, with experience with Sage. And it will find all of that information, and it will only bring up the CVs that have all that information. So if you've neglected to put that on your CV, your headhunter isn't going to find you. So if you're in doubt, chuck it on the CV, because then you'll get headhunted. However, if a job is I can't find a polite way of wording it, a lower level role, there is a chance that too much information on the CV, when someone receives it by hand and they look at what I call an analog search, they're actually just using their eyes, there could be too much on there. There's just so many.
I mean, the best way of breaking it down is think of a Google search, and that is exactly what it is. Is basically originates from SEO, search engine optimization searching. So this is where the algorithms will pinpoint key elements or keywords, like you mentioned, to find the best suited person. Hence, you then go up to the top. We have actually had one question, and sorry guys, if you've asked questions and I haven't responded to it, it's because I have to scroll down, so that's my bad. It normally would scroll automatically. So we've had one question, again, Alex, thank you for that, and Sam Faxton, thank you for asking the question. Right, hey guys, I'm particularly deaf. I've started a business in January, but it didn't work as expected. I'm not entitled to any benefit. I'm looking for a job, but all recruiters are interviewing by phone. Hold on, sorry, forgive me. By phone and video. My wife is a key worker and my daughter is not allowed to school. I'm lost big time. What's your advice? Thank you so much and I appreciate your feedback. So I'm going to just repeat that again, Alex, just for your benefit there. So he had a business. He's looking for a job now. He's deaf. His wife is a key worker and his daughter, he's most likely looking after his daughter who can't go to school. So he's lost big time. Okay, so I can get recruitment side. This is your field now. What would you recommend?
So firstly, I would definitely put that on your CV. That's the first thing, to clarify it. And one of the great things about being in this country, and you can call it an EU rule as well if you like, is what's called, you cannot discriminate against any kind of disability. So actually, I see the point. It's a very valid point, and you're right, recruiters will do this. But if you put it on the CV, think of it this way, we're not expecting it. So we might try and phone and then we're not getting an answer, or it's not following the normal process. So if there's a bit of a warning ahead of time to go, right, look, I'm deaf, I'm going to have to do this via, I forget the system, but you can,
or email or messenger.
And a lot of companies, they obviously do not want to discriminate, because of course, actually there's thousands and thousands of talented people who are immobile, that, as you say, I might be deaf, might be blind. I always joke with people saying, I can do my job in a wheelchair. The only thing that would stop me doing my job is my voice. If I lost my voice, I now can't do that job. But I could do something else. So to try and inspire you, I would definitely put it on your CV. If you do make an application, it's common, I say it's common courtesy to mention that you might need, the phrase to use is a reasonable adjustment. So a reasonable adjustment is that you have to hear. So is there something they can do, or is there something you can do to make the process easier? So as Hadi mentioned, can I request a reasonable adjustment? Please, may I communicate with you via email? May I do it by whatever your process is?
And one other thing as well, Sam, when it comes to childcare, you know, if your wife is a key worker, the schools are still open looking after key workers' children's, because everyone understands the situation that key workers are in. You know, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, whether you are a delivery driver, whether you are a fast food industry worker, supermarket worker, even the guys who are taking the bins out, working in the council, you're all valid and valuable. And coronavirus has shown how valuable you really are. So don't have no worries, don't have no fears. You know, please just take the advice as best as you can. Use the school system. They are open to look after the key worker children. And thankfully, you know, there's been a U-turn on the school dinners as well. So that's also going to help, you know, over the summer holidays. So please have no fear about it. Do your part, get your CV ready. Do mention it on your CV as well. Like what Alex is saying too, just to give you a bit of background as well, I also was in recruitment. I was actually a service director for a recruitment consultancy back in the 2000s. So, you know, I have done Alex's job as well, not the training side, but the gathering of the clients, as well as fitting the candidates to those clients. So, you know, have no worries. We're coming from a point of a little bit of expertise to give you a benefit and guidance, and more importantly, help you get back on your feet. You know, and Sam, you're one of the main people out there where it's talking about business. And we've got quite a few people who are in the same sort of boat. So don't worry, we know where you're coming from. Okay, right. So we've dealt with CVs, photographs and CVs. Yes or no?
In Europe, it's the done thing. In England, it's not that it's frowned upon, but it's not really the done thing in a lot of places. Okay. I don't see the harm personally, and I think a good recruiter doesn't see the harm in it. And going back to your point about the names on CVs, I know there are statistics out there that do prove that certain names and certain cultures don't get seen. However, I go back to my original point about discrimination, and there's a lot of industries that are being cracked down on this. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend down a fake name either. So I would just be honest and open. Be aware of your industry is probably the harsh way to phrase it.
It's funny you say that. There was actually, again, on a Facebook group that I was part of, having this very same debate. Because exactly what you said, the statistics do prove it. And, you know, what we saw over the last couple of weekends with the frustrations that has happened over that period of time, especially in central London with Black Lives Matter, it has brought all these things to the forefront. But one thing that I saw, which is quite pleasing, was a guy saying, if I do see someone who's got a different name, I'm more inclined to actually give them an interview because I feel they're actually going to work a lot harder. I thought, that's actually quite nice to hear that. But hopefully there'll come a time where more people, again, this was a lot younger as a guy, whereas some of the people being recruited for maybe a little bit on the older side. So I think it's going to be about change over time. You know,
100. And I can speak from my little company that I've seen it where people have moved to this country, and as you say, you might have stereotypes, and they want to break the stereotype. So as you say, they're if anything, they're working harder than everyone else in the office, and it's quite inspiring, actually.
Yeah, and you know, again, many of the people who are in this group are pretty much a personification of it. Okay, so right, here's a quick one. Can you go direct to recruitment consultants?
Oh yeah, 100%. Right. Yeah, so every industry is a little bit different. Every industry has its own criteria, but if you went directly to a recruitment consultant, my advice is do a bit of research on your recruitment consultants. So if I could wave a magic wand, I would encourage everyone to go on places like LinkedIn and do a search for your particular job you're looking for and the phrase recruitment consultant. and actually directly message them. Hi, I found your profile. You look like you know what you're talking about. Can I send you my CV? Can we have a talk on, can we speak on the phone? Can I send you an email? 100%. The recruiter will be almost thrown off by the response. Definitely back it up with your CV. Definitely back it up with a good little sort of phone chat. But yeah, 100%. I definitely encourage it.
Well, that's really good to know, because there was a time where recruiters were getting CVs off of things like Monster and some of the other job platforms out there. They were actually advertising on those and hoping that they can capture more people. So, you know, because recruitment, very difficult to actually get in contact with a recruitment consultant half of the time. A very good one is actually going out there, actively getting in clients so that you can then get the candidates in. But again, it swings and roundabouts. So that's quite encouraging, actually, really encouraging.
In there, Hadi, just quickly, think of it this way: you're their product. Like if like, I'm sorry to do some brand recognition here, but your product is this. You're the candidate. So my job as a recruiter is to find someone that's thirsty that wants a Pepsi. That's my job. You're just a Pepsi. You're just being good at what you do. You're a cola. You're a drink. You're thirst quenching. But it's my job as the recruiter to go out and find someone to go, right, oh, I see that you're drinking Coca-Cola. Have you ever thought about Pepsi? Because actually Pepsi's cheaper and it's actually sweeter. I heard you like sweet things. So go on, give it a try. Let me show you their CV. Go on, have a look. And a really good recruiter will put you in front of the right hiring managers. And that hiring manager is much harder to put down a good CV. If you never saw it, you don't know. But if you've got a good CV in front of you, I can't say no to that. That's really good. And that's why to a recruiter is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and I have to agree there. Having a good CV is a very good way of getting everything across. Hence why it seems to be such a mystery in terms of CVs, how to actually, make a good CV. You go on certain websites, they will say have borders and patterns and photographs and pictures. Sometimes it is just more about the content and how to word that content, like what you said with the Boolean search. And I think with the way how the industry is right now, we're seeing a mass push towards, I would say, client gathering as opposed to candidate gathering. There's a lot of candidates out there who've got a lot of skills, but there's not enough clients. So that leads to the next part, which is about companies and going out there and getting companies. You mentioned about smaller companies earlier on that may not have the time and may not have the funds to be able to recruit people, but they may want to actually give out, a role because one person can't handle it all, and they need to leverage out their services. What would be your advice to these kinds of companies looking to expand?
It's the great question. I mean, if I had the perfect answer, I'd be a millionaire now. But
I thought you would.
maybe I am. The phrase I use with people is, if you're putting out a job ad, so if you think of it from the company's point of view, so let's pretend you're a big automotive company. So let's use BMW as an example. So if you're BMW, you know that your brand, your product is good. And you know that everyone in the world, given the chance, would work for you. You know that. So you don't have to try. But let's say you're a small company. Well, how are you going to compete with the big one? How are you going to compete with that? Because if a developer or whatever job you want to use, if they're looking for a job on their own, they're going to be going to these big companies. They're not going to be scouring the internet. They're not going to be doing market mapping of your region. They're just going to apply to whatever job they see. And they might ring up the company every so often. So if you're a smaller company, the question I always ask is, well, how do you compete with these massive companies when it comes to trying to attract staff? Now, again, going back to my job role, I'm the head of people. So this is one of the constant things I have to battle, where we've got all these other recruitment companies. How can I make my company look attractive versus all these other companies and much bigger companies? So this is where, ironically, a recruitment consultant can come into play, because it's the recruitment consultant that goes out and headhunts people. I mean, they can write adverts, they can write really good ones, you might get the odd thing there. But the real good recruiters are headhunters. So they'll find your CV, they'll find your details wherever they might be, which goes back to my point about keywords. If you've got, let me start that again. If you've got a specialist skill or a software that you've used in the past, maybe even once or twice, mention it.
Yeah.
Because that recruiter might, as you say, Boolean search that word, you come up in their search results, they send you a quick message. Hi, I heard you've used PowerPoint. I've got a client that's really interested in someone that's used PowerPoint before. All of a sudden now you strike up that conversation. So going back, back to your original question about the clients, how do you compete with them? Well, that's the job of the recruiter. The recruiter now is going to ring up these or get in contact with people like ourselves. They go, hi, I saw from your profile you're interested in, again, I'm going to use developers as an example, but I see that you're interested in Java. I've got a client in South London. I notice you only live 5 minutes away. Now, I don't know what your current job is. This role has got Java. It's 5 minutes away from your house, and it's paying up to £80,000. Would you like to discuss? And that is a good recruiter because they've honed in on your CV. They've worked out what you might be looking for. Now, here's the secret. Your message probably went to another 50 people that sort of match your criteria. But it sounds like they're talking directly to you. But of course, your criteria is so precise that of course it's going to sound like they're talking to you. Oh, I'm a developer in South London that's interested in Java. He must be talking about me. Actually, I'm talking about 100 people. So to sort of answer that question, I'm then headhunting these people. I then sell the business on your behalf. And then I go back to the client and go, right, I found you 5 people. I've got 5 people that you wouldn't have found before. So if you work with me exclusively, here are 5 people that could join your company in 1 month's time, or whatever the period is. While if you removed the recruiter, that small business has to find you. And if they can't find you, they put out a job advert. But they're not copywriters. They're not marketeers. Their advert would be Java developer, South London, join us. Doesn't attract the right people. So think of it paying for the service, the expertise of someone, and it works both ends.
No, I hear that. And guys, by all means, do recruitment consultants help with, like what you said, the copy, the copywriting, the CV element, just to tidy it up? Because I've seen with some recruitment consultants, they will take a person's CV and they will actually rewrite it themselves. Before I carry on any further, guys, if you're watching this and enjoying this, I hope that you're getting value from this. Please give us a like, give us a heart, give us a care. If you don't like my hairstyle, give me a hate. I don't care. I just want to know that you guys are here. And more importantly, ask a question. This is a lot of the questions I'm asking have come from people that are genuinely interested. But if you're here watching this now, get involved. This is your time. All right. Sorry, Alex. In terms of CVs, I know would it be worth as a way of doing things, getting the CV across to a recruitment consultant first and asking them, can you have a quick look at this? Let me know what I need to do. How do I tear it up? How do I change it up? Or just leave it with them and let them take care of it.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit longer of an answer than I'd like it to be. Generally speaking, the recruiters in the world, they're busy doing other bits and bobs.
Got it.
So in a perfect world, they would. And a recruiter will do that if you've got an incredibly special skill. If you're particularly niche or you've got something that's very attractive, a recruiter would be an idiot not to help you because, of course, you're their product. They're going to sell you. They want to make you look as good as possible. However, if they're getting contacted by 50 people in a day, there's only 24 hours in a day and 8 of those hours might be working. They've only got that many hours to do this editing. So what you might find, a nice recruiter might go, look, your CV's got a couple of things missing. Change this, get back to me. You might get that.
Yeah.
Now, controversial what I'm about to say. I did this before I joined recruitment, but there are very good CV writing services.
Yeah.
There are very good ones. And I do recommend them because, of course, they're the experts at changing language to sound cool and funky. So to give you a price range, I paid £80. This would have been 2 years ago, so I don't know what fluctuation would be like. But I paid £80. I told them, and I had a phone call probably like this actually, Hattie. We were just talking. And then the guy went away and went, give me 24 hours. I will build you a brand new CV. And don't get me wrong, what I saw, I looked at going, I probably could have done that. But the CV writer knows about Boolean search, is probably a graphic designer to a certain extent, so they know what looks nice. And I remember getting a 2-page CV, and I remember looking at that and at first going, I paid £80 for that. And then I thought about it afterwards going, bargain, because this CV I wouldn't have been able to make without help.
Yeah.
And actually, I pay £80 now, and then I'm not going to lie to you, I look back now and I go, that was probably the best investment I ever made in my life.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm going to say this. There's, you know, when I was going for non-executive director roles, done the CV myself, but I found out that I had like 8-9 pages of 15, 20 years worth of work. How do you condense that down? You know, because you've got various, you know, and this is what's going to happen in the job market currently. There's a lot of people who are either going to be changing their profession, so they're going to try and get out that pigeonhole that they were previously in over the past couple of years. Let's say, as an example, web designer, because they've now upgraded their skills to now go into SEO work or social media management work, or you know, a combination using things like SEMrush. Or they may have retrained up to become a financial advisor because, you know what, they want to deal with people as opposed to sit behind the computer screen all day long. So we're finding that right now there's a lot of people who are in furlough who've taken that bit of a step back after saying, okay, I've watched a lot of Netflix, I've watched a lot of TV, I've caught up on all my reruns and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But that's not what really interests me. This is what interests me. One of the best examples I've seen is chefs. More people have learned how to cook while they're off.
Good point.
So as more people have learned how to cook when they're off, they've followed through with a lot of their passion and have now started to follow through with some of the more technically trickier dishes to make within a certain time limit. And becoming more proficient at it, they feel it's time to move into a different career. And that's absolutely fine. You know, there's plenty of people who are like that. So when it comes, and this is again an issue that I've seen with a lot of recruitment consultants, they like to pigeonhole people because they've done it for so long in that same environment and find it very difficult to get that person out from this place to put them into where they want to be in that place. How does an applicant, you know, a candidate, you know, especially anyone who's watching here today, how do they jump from that sort of trap?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I can only speak on my experiences myself. So, of course, I used to work in banking and I moved into recruitment. So my short answer was it was a spray and pray. I'm going to apply to these jobs and see which one. That is true. However, what I'm trying to get at is if I apply to 10 jobs and I get 1 response, that's a good ratio. I'm fine with that. Once I'm in the interview, that's how I'm going to sell it. Now, there's sort of 2 answers here. So the easy one is once you've got the interview, you have to make sure that your answers relate back to how your skills are transferable to their industry. So to use me as an example, I learned how to deliver training in banking. Well, how's that transferable in recruitment? Well, in banking, there are rules and regulations. I learned how to communicate with large groups and small groups. I built training electronically and also face-to-face. These are applicable because your business is multinational, so I have to deliver training face-to-face and electronically. You need to build a training program. Well, I did that over there. And the reason why I know I'll be able to do it in recruitment is because I did it in an industry that's heavily regulated like your one. And all of a sudden, the person in the interview goes, good answer. But your CV could never say that. Because, of course, if it did, you'd get bored halfway down. So that's answer 1. You've just got to get them interviews. You've got to keep trying. Anyone watching this, anyone replay live, never be disheartened that you're not getting the responses, especially in the current climate. Because, of course, companies are a little bit reluctant to just hire new people. They are. But you've got to be in the game to win it. My favourite quote, sorry, Hadi, I will get back to the answer.
No, fine.
My favourite quote, and I wish everyone in the world would know this, it's a very famous and almost overused quote. It's a Wayne Gretzky quote, and I think it's so perfect for job hunting. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you see a job and you think, I quite like that, click. Oh, I like that job, click. Oh, maybe I should click. Never ever go, oh, I'm not sure. Because another horrific statistic for you, Hadi, you like this? It's a real difference between men and women. So let's say there's a job ad and there are 10 bullet points. Now, me and you, Hadi, we might read that and go, no, I can do about 5 or 6 of them, click, apply. But 4 of them we can't. So 6, yeah, we're good, we'll still apply. 4, it'll be fine. But apparently, statistically proven that women will read it and they'll go, oh, I can only do 6 of them. Oh, I won't bother. And that's why it's one of the horrible facts of life as to why I believe that why we're not seeing that as many female leaders, because they see a job and they think, can't really do that, I won't apply. And then that's one of the extra hurdles that women are having with getting a job, because they just think, well, I have to do 100% of the job, don't I? No. The job I applied to now, and I like to believe, I'm sure my colleagues will be watching this at some point, I like to believe I've been fairly successful in the role. But at the job advert, I was probably about 75% qualifiable. Other 25%, I had recruitment experience. I didn't know the softwares, but you can learn them.
Yeah.
And that's what I told in the interview, was that, hey, I can learn those. You just want someone that's got work ethic, going to turn up on time every day, someone that's excitable. Surely that's what you need. Yeah, good point. But to go back to point 2, if you've got the time, so we're talking to people that are either not in work or they're on furlough at the moment and they're thinking about getting a job.
Yeah.
If you've got the time, tailor your CV to every single application. Because what will happen is, we'll use again mortgage advisor as an example. Yeah. Let's say you've got an advert for a mortgage advisor. I'm looking for a mortgage advisor that's really energetic, knows his stuff about credit cards. I don't know why, but knows his stuff about credit cards, and is a tremendously handsome person. So Hadi is your man. So, yeah. So they're the 3 things that we've noticed in this job ad. But my CV might not say these things. So when the recruiter or the HR department get the CVs, they're going to do, because they get so many applications, they're just going to do a like Control F find button. Yeah. Where does it say you've got experience? So if you can tailor every single application with your CV to try and match some of the, I mean, if you can do all of them, that would be great. But if you can match some of the words in the job ad to your CV. So as a terrible example, I like to believe I'm very good with PowerPoint. I have to be.
Yeah.
But they might say, we want someone who's stupendous with PowerPoint. So I now need to my CV, instead of it saying very good with PowerPoint, I'm stupendous with PowerPoint. Because then it also tells the recruiter that you've taken the job seriously. So that's my big tip for you.
That's interesting as well, you know, and I think that needs to be hammered home. Guys, if you're joining in on this and you just joined in now, please feel free to ask any questions. If you're enjoying this, if you've watched this since the start, give us a like, let us know what you think, what you feel. Are you getting value from this? Because I know from my point of view, I definitely am getting value for this. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there, when they're watching this back, they will be getting value too. It's going to help you. Get the edge is the most important part. Let's face it. For every job, you know, that's out there, there's going to be, as Alex said, 50 to 100 applicants going for the same job. You need to be the person's, either the recruitment consultants or the person who's hiring. You need to be that guy, that girl, to be in there. And you need the people to give you that special information. You can't get this anywhere else. Right now, I'm very, very fortunate to have the expertise of Alex, being able to relate all this back to everyone here. So please feel free, ask a question. This is your time as well, guys. You know, he's here to help you. Okay, right. So I'm going to move on to another quick point. So yeah, you're right. In terms of different CVs for different elements. Okay, CV writers, CV writing companies who are out there. Do you have any particular recommendations? I know there's Top CV. Kate Warren from Top CV is very, very up there because she works with Monster and does her free CV service, free CV check, and then charges to update the CVs. But she gives a lot of recommendations. So if you want to do it yourself, you can. Most of the time, like what you said, that ain't gonna happen. I mean, I've tried it, but then I'm a different kind of person. I like to learn and apply. So for more people, that's not the case. Is there, from your point of view, who would you sort of recommend as a special person to go for?
I'll be honest, there's so many. There are so many. What I would honestly do, if I was in a different situation, if I was in a slightly different situation, I'm afraid, let me clarify, I do not work for LinkedIn. Let me clarify, I do not work for them, but I do love LinkedIn's product. So if I were to be looking for a CV writer, I would actually go onto LinkedIn and I would type in CV writer service, and then I would look at all the results that come up and then go on to every single profile and I would read the reviews. I would see what recommendations people have left. Because in fairness, they're all very good. It's very difficult to go, well, that person's better than that person. You may want to think about the speciality. So hear me out. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to be particularly good for a graphic designer, because graphic designers are by nature very good at making something look good. So I can make something look passable, I can make something look okay, but in the industry of graphic design, you would want a graphic design specialist. If the looks of your CV doesn't really matter, it's the contents of that CV, what project, as long as it's there and clear, that's all that matters. So I would probably add that in there. Have a think about, okay, well, what's my market? Where am I trying to get this CV to go? And just to backpedal a bit, something that made me understand how CV searching works. I like to think of it as there are two kinds of searches. There's an analog search and a digital search. So a digital search is what most recruiters do. Go online, type in words, and it just matches it. That's fine. So if you know that your industry is full of digital searching, you don't necessarily need to have the nicest looking CV, because it's just computers that are looking at your CV. No human, just data. How many times does it say mortgage advisor? 12 times. He must be good. Doesn't really compute anything else. But an analog search is more your supermarkets, more your retail, where they're physically getting a bit of paper and they have to skim it with their eyes. Yeah, that one looks good. Right, next one. Yeah, okay, that one looks good. So if you know that they're like manual processes, that's where you want to have a nice looking CV. And maybe you do want to do the photograph because it might make you stand out. However, if I'm being very honest now that it comes to mind, the photograph can put a lot of people off. Because in our company, we use a system called Odro. Now, Odro is a video interviewing platform. So like this, message will come, it will say, tell the time when you had to face adversity. And then they'll go, oh, right, well, I faced, and I've seen people like right now, I'm doing this interview in my button shirt. Okay, yeah, it's a wrestling shirt, but fine. So I'm taking this seriously. First impression is he's taking this seriously. But I've seen people do it's a job interview. Okay, it's by video. It's a job interview. I've seen people do it in their pajamas. And deep down, I don't care. Like deep down, I don't care what you look like. I don't care. But the initial, you can have what's called an unconscious bias.
Yeah.
If I see someone that's in their pajamas, well, how seriously are you taking this job? Yeah, okay, we've got a casual dress code. Yes, we've got all these things. But actually, you're trying to get a job here. Take this seriously. If it's a professional photograph, yeah, cool. I'm a big fan, again, of LinkedIn. Your photo is on the LinkedIn profile. So maybe don't have the photo, but have a link to your LinkedIn profile.
That's a good point, actually. And yeah, I better change my photograph on LinkedIn again. I just thought I would put a bit more of it, less formal, but no, actually the formal one is actually really good. But it was professionally done, and again, guys, this has been, we're going to be coming close to the end of Alex's interview. Guys, if you've been watching this and have enjoyed this, I hope that you really have. Feel free, again, even on the replay, ask a question. Alex is here to help on that one. And Alex is part of this group. And I'm very, very happy that you've accepted to be a part of this group. And at any point, there's going to be people out there that are going to need your advice. So, how would people be able to contact you, Alex?
Great question. As you can probably tell, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. So if you haven't got a profile, set one up. It's the biggest professional network in the world. Mm-hmm. Yes, you've got Facebook, but people have got their Ibiza photos on there. Yes, you've got Instagram. Don't want to know what's on that. So LinkedIn, I think, is a big friend with a lot of industries. So if you haven't got one, set a profile. And if you literally search Alex Gilbert, I'm usually the top answer. Side note, the reason why I'm usually the top answer is because I've made my profile so thorough. LinkedIn, with its SEO, or as they call it, the algorithm, it usually puts at the top because it knows that I've got a lot of connections and it promotes me as such. So LinkedIn's probably your best bet. If you are interested in recruitment, or even some of you might even be interested in a job in recruitment, the company I work for is Optimus Search. So you can search Optimus Search on Google and we're the top answer. But yeah, LinkedIn and even your Facebook group, Paddy, really. I'm more than happy to help out.
See, guys, this is part of the service that we offer here. Now, there is some added bonuses. Again, I'm going to be putting in some added bonuses in the group later on. Some of the freebie stuff that I've actually been able to negotiate for many people. So we'll be dealing with that, such as credit reference agencies. But I'll be talking about that tomorrow when I discuss bridging loans. That's going to be my topic for my Facebook Live. So have your questions ready for it. Sometimes you don't even need a bridging loan. There's one thing that I want to get out there for Alex. Alex has got a lot of belts in the background there. Where's your sort of keen interests?
Yeah, so on a side note as well, and this goes to interviews as well, is as long as you pick your audience, as long as you know your audience right, I still firmly believe that my ridiculousness with professional wrestling has actually made me better at my job. For anyone that's looking very carefully, this shirt is actually Ultimate Warrior logos. And I enjoy, if I zoom in, there you go, you can probably see a couple there.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of people that are passionate about something. And one of our values in our business is passion. Are you passionate? Now, you don't have to be passionate necessarily about the job, as long as you're passionate about something. And I'm a huge fan of that. And so as you can see here, I've got, all of us are working from home at the moment, or a lot of us are working from home. So I had the mindset of going, right, how can I stay motivated while I'm working from home? Because when you're in the office, you can bounce off people, people can bring you up, you can coach people, you get the idea. When you're in your house on your own, what can motivate you? So as you can see behind me, and again, doing so many Zoom meetings, I want it to be an extension of me. I want to remind myself why I'm even doing this. So for anyone that is a wrestling fan, you probably recognize those belts, but they're my favorite belts. And camera's probably not good enough to see it, but they're all signed by very famous wrestlers. And if I ever, for even a moment, go, what's the point? I look to my right, or in this case, my right, and I go, oh yeah, my job lets me do cool stuff like that. And on this side, you can probably see some more photos and pictures and things. And I just need that momentary glimpse to go, this is why I do the job, because I like to be by quite a cool little life going on. I get to do the things I want to do. But the only way for me to do those things is I've got to be good at my job. And that's my motivation to keep going every day. So I encourage everyone here to find your passion and find a way to get that into your job. Even if it's just a photo. A common theory with weight loss. If people want to lose weight, have a photo of someone that inspires you, and you have to see it every day. Because when you see it every day, it reminds you, I want to look like that. So that's why I'm not going to eat this another Mars bar, or in my case, drink another bottle of Pepsi. But yeah, I like wrestling. There you go.
No, that's fine. And again, do follow Alex's wrestling page, which is Dow Jones Wrestling. When everything starts to come back gradually, and people start to get back into the normal sort of swing of things, and shows start to take place, Alex is quite prominent within the UK wrestling industry, predominantly based more in the South. You know, and we've worked together on shows, and we've always had a chance to communicate and talk about things outside of wrestling. And thankfully, again, it's given a lot of confidence, like what Alex has said, have your passion and follow it through. But in the meantime, you know, again, the most important thing here is being able to relay almost insider secrets, industry insider secrets, onto getting through a difficult time, getting yourself the edge that you need to get into that role that you want. Even if you're changing from one industry to another industry, Alex has done that because he's given the secrets on transferable skills and how to actually communicate that forward to the potential employer. Again, negotiating wages and stuff like that, you can do that via the recruitment consultant. They can act as a middle guy for you rather than you going and negotiating that yourself. There's a lot of benefits to having a recruitment consultant behind you, but also being able to find a good recruitment consultant is worth its weight in gold. Like what Alex has said, use LinkedIn, use certain industry tools out there to help you. And by all means, don't feel that you cannot approach a recruitment consultant direct. You can. They're there to help you. Yes, they get paid for it, but they are ultimately there to help give you a better life. Guys, thank you so much. Alex, thank you so much for being a part of this today. And again, guys, if you're going to watch this back on the replay and you need any questions answered, drop it in there. You know me, I always get the questions out there, and we're here to answer them. Thanks again. Remember, tomorrow, guys, my Facebook Live, 7 o'clock p.m. is on bridging loans. How to do it, how to get it, when to get it, why would you get it, in what circumstances do you not need it? We need to go through that because at this moment in time, there's going to be a lot of repossession properties coming up where there's going to be a lot of bridging loan inquiries. So thanks again, guys. Have a great evening. Alex, thank you again. Take care of yourselves, everyone. See you later.